Common Sense. Thomas Paine. Reflections of a Dark Horse and a Dragon. Quote, I feel like I hear the chassis creaking a lot. The rust is spreading. Close quote. Heather Haying, regarding the current state of the Republic of the United States. Quote, 4 years ago, we were slandered for wanting to discuss Hunter's laptop. We were told it was a Russian trick, that Hunter's amoral behavior and apparent corruption had nothing to do with Joe, that his dealings in Ukraine were irrelevant to the election, and we were scolded for noticing that Joe was a shadow of his former self. Now we find ourselves mysteriously escalating an unwinnable war in Ukraine against a foe with nuclear weapons, at the direction of a commander-in-chief who is clearly not in command of his faculties. And the New York Times is calmly reporting that Hunter, who has obviously enriched himself peddling Joe's influence, though the Times doesn't mention that part, wants Joe to hold on to power despite the obvious danger to the nation and the world. You would think that at this shocking moment it would dawn on the folks at the New York Times that they obstructed the most significant story of all in 2020, and that their cynical political game put every man, woman and child on Earth at risk. But that won't happen, of course, because these people have no shame. We must now rescue ourselves from the international nightmare they have set in motion in our name. Close quote. Brett Weinstein. Perhaps the sentiments contained in the following pages are not yet sufficiently fashionable to procure them general favour. A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right, and raises at first a formidable outcry in defence of custom, but the tumult soon subsides. Time makes more converts than reason. Some writers have so confounded society with government as to leave little or no distinction between them, whereas they are not only different, but have different origins. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections, the latter negatively by restraining our vices. The one encourages social intercourse, the other creates distinctions. The first is a patron, the last a punisher. I have heard it asserted by some that as America hath flourished under her former connection with Great Britain, that the same correction is necessary towards her future happiness, and will always have the same effect. Nothing can be more fallacious than this kind of argument. We may well assert that because a child has thrived upon milk, that it is never to have meat, or that the first 20 years of our lives is to become a precedent for the next 20. But even this is admitting more than is true, for I answer roundly that America would have flourished as much, and probably much more, had no European power had anything to do with her. The commerce by which she hath enriched herself are the necessaries of life, and will always have a market while eating is the custom of Europe. Though I would carefully avoid giving unnecessary offence, yet I am inclined to believe that all those who espouse the doctrine of reconciliation may be included within the following descriptions: interested, men who are not to be trusted, weak men who cannot see, prejudiced men who will not see, and a certain set of moderate men who think better of the European world than it deserves. And this last class, by an ill-judged deliberation, will be the cause of more calamities to this continent than all the other three. Men of passive tempers look somewhat lightly over the offences of Britain, and still hoping for the best, are apt to call out, "Come, come, we shall be friends again for all this." But examine the passions and feelings of mankind. Bring the doctrine of reconciliation to the touchstone test of nature, and then tell me whether you can hereafter love, honour, and faithfully serve the power that hath carried fire and sword into your land. If you cannot do all these, then are you only deceiving yourselves, and by your delay bringing ruin upon posterity. Your future connection with Britain, whom you can neither love nor honour, will be forced and unnatural, and being formed only on the plan of present convenience, will in a little time fall into a relapse more watched than the first. But if you say you can still pass the violations over, then I ask, hath your house been burnt? Hath your property been destroyed before your face? Are your wife and children destitute of a bed to lie on or bread to live on? Have you lost a parent or a child by their hands, and yourself the ruined and wretched survivor? If you have not, then are you not a judge of those who have? But if you have and still can shake hands with the murderers, then are you unworthy the name of husband, father, friend, or lover, and whatever may be your rank or title in life. You have the heart of a coward and the spirit of a sycophant.